Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com, is brought to you by Steel Rubber Products, quality crafted rubber parts and weather stripping. Clamp Tight, the clamp making tool. And by RockAuto.com, all the parts your car will ever need.
Welcome back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com. Well, Josh, it looks like Dave made short work of the steering column.
He did. Here's where he was showing you where the two bolts actually go to support the steering column. But as you can see, I still have some stuff to move over. The motor, the lock cylinder, the multifunction switch, and of course the steering wheel.
Well, it looks like you got a lot of work ahead of you, so why don't you get started? Get it over to Dave. We got a whole steering system to take a look at. Check this out. Let's talk about the evolution of steering. Now, the evolution of steering, we actually have a 66 Fury. Check that out, man. Pretty cool looking car. It employs an actual recirculating gearbox right here, or a gearbox that's down here. And you've seen these before. They turn to the right or left. You got a worm gear and a sector shaft. And then what you have is you have these idler arms. You have these all these different bushings. You got this tie rod end. And then what you have here is a whole ball joint assembly, adjusting sleeve. It's a parallelogram steering system on that old car. And guess what? Rock Auto has you covered. We got these 66 Fury parts from Rock Auto. And of course, Rock Auto even has the latest and greatest columns for the newest cars we'll show you in a second. Now, this is a rack and pinion. So we went from a parallelogram to a rack and pinion. Really simple. You got the pinion down here and the rack, and I can turn it. You see the pinion moves the rack back and forth. And right here is a spool valve that kind of directs fluid to one side or the other so you can have some power steering. Now, what you all came here for and what Tech Garage is all about is high tech. Electronic power steering. Let's go through the evolution right here. Well, first of all, it was electro-hydraulic. You can see it right there on the actual rack and pinion. And then our car, the HHR, actually employs this one right here, which is an electric motor on the steering column. But most cars actually have right there a fully blown electric steering system. Now, only on Tech Garage, I told you, you're gonna see a cutaway of one. How does it work? Now this is cool. You got a steering angle sensor right here. So as I turn the steering angle sensor, either this, and it has a torque sensor built in as well, no link to the column. Think about this for a minute. I'm turning to the right or left, sending a signal to the computer. Then the computer drives the actual unit. And here's a unit right here that we cut away. You're only gonna see on Tech Garage, folks. So what's going on here? Well, you got the computer electronics going on right here, and then the feedback's gonna come into here to this high power electric motor. Now the high power electric motor is driving this big, looks like a supercharger belt, which is really cool. And this is a belt tensioner. So this actually drives a small gear driving a big gear, which is giving us gear reduction, giving us the torque that we need. Also, when it drives it, it's gonna drive what's called this worm gear right here. There's the belt, drives this worm gear. Now that's what's moving your car. Well, then it comes over here to this feedback sensor, which is really cool because if I flip it back over, you can see here's our traditional rack and pinion. Now remember, we have no mechanical link to this, so this is just for feedback. Now this is pretty hard to drive because that's a heavy magnet permanent motor right there, and this is cool. So watch this. I'm gonna turn it to the right, look at that thing, man, and to the left. So what's going on? We're driving that motor. That motor's driving the shaft, and man, it goes back and forth, and we're getting feedback. Man, only on Tech Garage do you get to see the coolest demos and cutaways. Speaking of coolest, Dave's the coolest, but you know what? He's hanging upside down in the HHR. Let's see what's going on.
Special thanks to my buddy Josh for delivering the steering column. We've got those 3 bolts back in place, and I matched the index marks that John already made in there to make sure we had everything matched up correctly and headed in the right direction. And of course, we made sure we got those bolts in without bonking our head once again. There's a few connectors to do here. We've already got this blue one in here, and we will connect this to the control module, and the gray one is second. A nice click when those go in to make sure they're seated. Now we've got the kick panel support to put in here. There's 2 places where these connect. You see 4 holes. They match the 4 holes on the support. Now I'm just gonna put one in just for demonstration purposes so you can see how this goes on. I'll run this one down here. If I can unstick it from my flashlight, there we go. Magnets, here we go. All right. All right, and there's one of them there. And again, there's 3 other spots for the rest of the bolts here. But I want to show you the kick panel itself here just to save time. 3 clips on the top and 2 screws go in on the bottom. And there are 3 slots right across here where those tabs fit. So tab A into slot B in each case, and just kind of pound them in there. And again, you drive the 2 screws up and you are good to go. The only thing left is to test drive it to make sure we fix the problem. And we're gonna do just that and a whole lot more when we come back to Tech Garage, presented by RockAuto.com.